Hello and welcome to yet another A Star to Steer Her By, that
Woo.
Star Trek podcast that you've been listening to for like years now. Why?
Oh man,
You've probably been keeping count. If you haven't, you run out of fingers and toes for this because we are on episode 240.
woo!
You know who else has run out of fingers and toes are the Vidians, but we'll get to them in a minute. Because we're going to start.
Snots.
We're talking about Cathexis and faces today. It's going to be a good day. As usual, this is Ames.
As you've come to expect, this is Caitlin.
Jake.
And as is occasionally the case, this is Chris.
When is it
Usually.
not the case?
I don't know. I occasionally do bad impressions.
There was one time you were being George Lucas, and that was strange.
It rhymes like poetry.
This is better than any of that, thank God. Let's talk about Cathexis a little bit.
Easy for you to say.
It's not, because
I know.
I really thought it was going to be Cathexis. But I listened to it online. It's Cathexis.
For once in my life, I actually guessed correctly on a pronunciation, because that's kind of what I figured it would be.
All right, so in this episode, we start off and Janeway is playing Jane Eyre on some holodeck program.
Nice.
Or, a close approximation to Jane Eyre. The characters are different, but,
Yeah.
all those novels are roughly the same from that time period.
Yeah.
And she's about to get her rocks off with Lord Burleigh when Kim calls her away to deal with some bullshit. Rats. So it turns out Chakotay and Tuvok were out investigating a what's-it, and then they get found unconscious in their shuttle pod. Interesting. They go ahead and revive Tuvok, but they realize Chakotay's kind of brain dead. And I wonder how you can tell the difference between that and normal Chakotay.
We both made the same joke!
Oh, the poor thing. So Torres breezes into sickbay and starts tooling around with Chakotay's magical Native American MacGuffin all up in here. And totally gets schooled by the EMH on this shit, but we'll get to that later on because I'm certain we'll talk about it.
Oh, we will.
Oh,
So
boy.
we're flying back to the what's-it to figure out what the hell just went down when suddenly Paris changes course and everyone's like, typical Paris. And he says, no, I didn't do it, it wasn't me. And then Torres shuts down the warp core and everyone's like, typical Torres. And she says, no, it really was, none of this is us. There is a mystery afoot and we get to solve it. And it turns out that there's some energy being that keeps possessing people briefly. And it seems like it's trying to keep them from going back to the what's-it. What a jerk. It knocks out Kess into a coma. It turns off the EMH. Everyone's getting all red scare about this and getting paranoid and pointing fingers when anyone does
perfect.
literally anything. Like, Harry's thinking about boobs. He must be possessed by the alien.
No, that's just normal Harry stuff.
And Harry's like, no, I was actually thinking about boobs. I'm still me. So finally, the being inhabits a whole bunch of bodies in succession on the bridge and attacks the fuck out of Tuvok. And Tuvok says, fuck this noise, stuns the whole damn bridge, and comes up and says, ha, I am a Komar, some kind of non-corporeal alien thing who wants to feed on everyone's neural energy to death. Dun, dun, dun! But everyone keeps getting possessed by another entity. So they're like, there's another one. Oh my god, it's actually Chakotay trying to prevent the Komar from delivering the crew to its people to have their brains sucked out of their heads. So we blast the Komar out of Tuvok somehow.
Science.
Unclear. We used the magical Native American MacGuffin, which actually ended up serving a purpose, which I was not expecting it to navigate them out of the what's-it. And then they cram Chakotay back into his body, pan flutes all around the end.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm pretty sure that's the episode I watched, yeah.
So,
Yeah, sounds about right.
right off the bat,
Go for it.
these fuckers were grinding my gears again by referring to the story as being set in ancient England.
Oh no, like the ancient West?
Yeah, or again, it's not a long enough time period. That's like, if it's Jane Eyre, it's like 1810-ish. Like,
I mean,
come up
More
with a new
ancient than
term.
the ancient West, though.
But how old does something have to be to be considered ancient?
I mean, older than that.
No, I already had that conversation with you. I'm asking them.
Oh god, I don't know. 500 years.
Well, if that's all, then it is ancient.
No, because think about it. We don't call the 1500s the ancient world. That's the Renaissance.
Yeah, but it's
because
only
there's,
the Renaissance because all that good shit happened. If it had just been another shitty couple of years, they probably would call it the ancient world.
I don't know.
I think it's ancient once all of like the discrete eras kind of blend together.
It's
Like-
ancient when it's sepia toned.
Like you can still
That's
say, the Renaissance, and you can say the Enlightenment, and you can say the Victorian era or the Edwardian era. But once you get so far out that like all of those are just like, yeah, that's just olden times, that maybe that's where it becomes.
Maybe.
ancient.
I just think it's like a dumb joke that I wish they would stop making.
It is a dumb joke.
Also, did anyone recognize the maid?
No, I didn't look close at the maid.
I mean, I should say I didn't recognize her, but I was like, I think I've seen her. So I did. I looked her up. This is her fourth and final Star Trek appearance. She was previously two different Romulans.
Mm.
One I don't remember. The other was the one that was constantly challenging Troy in the episode where Troy was turned into a Romulan.
Oh shit! Oh, it's that woman! Oh, she's great!
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I forgot this. She was also the woman who invented warp drive in that one episode where they were like getting ready to do first contact if they did the
Oh,
warp
yeah,
experiment, and then they didn't. So she's like, "Hey Picard, can I go with you because my world sucks?"
I'm pretty sure the name of that episode was First Contact.
Was it? There we go.
Yeah, that woman. Oh, word. Oh, she's excellent. I'm glad we get to see her again.
Yep. But
And
yeah,
I'm sorry we don't get to see her more now. Because, yeah,
Yeah.
she's great.
That was
And
also
I-
Riker has sex with an alien.
oh,
Yeah,
that's
but
that
not
episode.
her.
Oh, yes, it is. So that's right.
That's
right,
what I
right.
said, so it is that episode. Didn't I say that?
No,
Oh.
I think you asked if it was the one where he was in the loony bin.
Oh.
That was a different one.
Okay. Well, at some point
Oh,
you made
that
me
one.
understand that it was the one where he got down with that horny alien. So.
And I thought,
Did you also recognize our newest best friend that we get to hang out with for 2 episodes, Peter Durst?
not until I looked him up, but once I did, I was like, "Holy shit, that's okay."
I'm so happy to see him.
Yep.
Well, do you
I
want to
hope
tell
his
the
cells don't get
listeners who
too
it is?
bored.
All right.
Hey.
What did he say?
He hopes his cells don't get too bored. Because that's how his immortality machine worked. It kept
Oh,
cells from getting bored.
right.
Yeah, that was our good friend Dr. Geiger, the guy who had that cell ennui machine that
What-
Jake and Nog were helping with, and it was adorable.
What's really funny about Durst is because he was suddenly just there and kind of prominent in this episode.
You
I
knew he
was-
wasn't going to last long?
No, I was thinking he was the problem. I was thinking he was like our
Oh.
remember that TNG where everyone loses their memories?
Conundrum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Conundrum, and there's that random
McDuff.
guy there, McDuff. And like in that one, it's more obvious because
No,
we
his
as the
name is
audience know
McDuff.
McDuff doesn't belong there. But I was thinking that it's like this guy's just here all of a sudden. He's got a weird amount of lines for an extra, and he seems to always be around right when things go hooey. So I was really expecting him to be the cause, and once he wasn't, I was like, oh. And then when he showed up in the next one, I was like, oh, he's not making it out of this
Yeah,
one. They
yeah,
just decided
as-
to establish him.
As we're going to see in the second half of our episode when we talk about Faces, yeah, they went ahead and said we're going to establish him so that in Faces it's a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Kind of like what they did with the Seska reveal that we
Hmm.
talked about last week, 2 weeks ago,
I
sometime.
don't know anymore.
Well, they can't just do that every 2 weeks or it gets stale, so.
The thing is, she was at least, seated a little more. She'd been there from pretty much the off. Was here and there, had some lines, had more lines.
Mm-hmm.
Detmer. Duff. What's his name? I've already.
Durst?
McDuff.
Durst. Durst, was just a little in your face with his music and his stuff.
You talking about Limp Bizkit?
Yeah, I was trying to make a Fred Durst joke. Thank
Oh, that's what you were doing.
you.
With
Yeah.
his
So
nookie.
sorry, Chris.
I am
With
bad
his,
at
with his
comedy.
That's
nookie
a
and his
great
no
joke.
talent.
Yeah. I did actually.
I think I liked this one more than I was expecting to, considering it sounds a lot like other episodes we've seen a lot.
Yeah, I think it, like, for me it worked because I didn't really remember how it went.
Yeah, right before the reveal that it's Chakotay's engrams flying around, Jake turns to me and says, "It's going to be Chakotay, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Have you seen this one before?" And he's like, if I did, I don't remember. Because I'm like, okay, because I know it's going to be Chakotay. Which is a decent twist that, because we've seen the crew getting possessed by aliens all the fucking time. That for it to actually be, oh, you're getting possessed by just another crew member, and that's kind of different. So that's good on them for being different.
Well, also, they do the whole switcheroo where it's like, okay, you think that there's aliens that are trying to prevent them from going to the nebula, and that they keep interfering at the times when, oh, we're about to go into the nebula, and they fuck with you. Oh, there's clearly something in that nebula that we got to see. But then obviously it turns out that no, it's not aliens, it's Chakotay who's trying to prevent us from going to the nebula because he knows that's where the bad aliens are. Yeah,
it's a pretty good twist. And it kind of fucks up the aliens game. So now, are we all, because we kind of talked about this a little last night.
How dare you? I wasn't there.
But, so does that just mean Tuvok had actually been possessed the whole time?
I'm going to say yes.
Like, do we think it was always in charge, or did it sometimes submerge itself, or... Because that's the problem, you find out so late what's going on, you're like, oh, wait, I now have to reassess everything, but shit.
Yeah, my best guess would be that it's him the whole time, and he's just kind of like reading Tuvok's memory so he knows what to do. Yeah. Like the way that Tuvok neck pinches Kes out, and you see he left these massive bruises.
True, which
a good Vulcan would never do.
Yeah, no.
A good Vulcan would know how to do it.
Yeah.
And I love how... Because I was going to say, like, oh man, Tuvok just wants to mind meld everybody all the time now. But no, that must have been the alien trying to get rid of Kes. So that Kes wouldn't be using her abilities, which come about every so often because she's this magical thing.
When they're plot convenient.
Exactly.
I didn't like that Neelix was trying to fucking gaslight her about it, though, by the way. Like, I understand... The first time we met him, I really kind of was like, all right, I grudgingly like Neelix, but every week I feel like he reveals more and more that he's actually just a twat and I don't like him. Like, he's like, are you sure this isn't just like last time when you had a dream about a fucking orange or something? Or whatever the fuck it was?
I don't think he's trying to gaslight her. I think he doesn't fully understand. He's trying to understand.
She doesn't understand her power. How is it either?
Yeah, but they're kind of, it's... I think he, phrases it poorly, but he's just trying to understand, but...
Well, I mean, also, another point against Neelix is what the fuck did he do to that plomeek soup? Like...
What the fuck, Neelix?
I think he peed in it. Like, I honestly don't... But I loved Tuvok's point, like, you can't say it's a taste of home if you literally fucked with a time-honored traditional recipe, you stupid fucker.
That's the next
one,
episode.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
That's not until next episode. Oh,
that's the next episode.
Yeah, because
this Tuvok wouldn't know if it was good plomeek soup or not.
That's true. That would have been a good twist. Could have been a plot point.
They could have had him eat the plomeek soup and been like, that's delicious. Then Neil's like,
just like home, and he's like, really? Because I added all this bullshit.
I took a big dump in the pot while I was cooking it.
Like I do with all my food.
Oh dear.
Do you think he uses a litter box? He strikes me as being cat-esque.
Probably.
Honestly, I feel like humans should use the litter box, but... What are you going to do?
No, that's nasty.
You just scoop it out.
Yeah, but what
human shit is a different consistency than cat shit.
Yeah.
It would be a total disaster.
Our cats have a better diet than we do, to be entirely frank.
That's true, yeah. So I looked up medicine wheels.
Oh, did you?
I was like, how wrong did they get this?
What? Do they belong to a particular tribe?
So that's the thing. My first thought was, wait a minute. This thing looks Mesoamerican, and I thought Chakotay was North American. So first of all, medicine wheels are not normally printed out. They were, in fact, mostly... It is
the future, Chris.
Well, so they were mostly utilized, and they're not always called medicine wheels, but they often were. Different tribes maybe had specific terms that translate differently. But they were generally the Plains Indians of North America.
Okay.
So having Mesoamerican-looking symbols all over it, strike one.
Okay, so at least a little bit of research went in.
Well,
Here we go.
Well, but also
So,
they're like a Stonehenge though, more than a.
yeah, they're like, well, not a henge. It's basically, they were usually drawn out on the ground in small stones with some lines pointing in the cardinal directions and all this. What they were using was something a little more akin to a New Age version of medicine wheels, which were invented by another fake Native American.
But I wonder if
Oh,
that
nice.
fake medicine wheel is the one that ends up kind of lasting into the future, though, like a game of telephone.
Kind of, but again, the real issue there becomes the Mesoamerican symbols on it. Because again, Chakotay, I don't think is supposed to be Mesoamerican.
Here's
But is he,
going
like-
to be the craziest twist of all. It's going to
Ooh.
turn out that Chakotay is a fake Native American. That the
Well-
character isn't. He's like Italian. That's what we're going to find out.
Yikes. Remind me if we know what tribe Chakotay has
I don't think
origins in.
I don't think they specify. I feel like
Okay, I
feel like
honestly
looked it
forget
up.
if
Did they
they've
not?
established or if it's not even a thing.
But at the very least, I think they leave it vague. But he's definitely North American, not
Mhm.
South or Mesoamerican.
But they also,
So-
I mean, they have the whole animal guide thing, right? Like that's like a Southwest sort of thing, isn't it?
That I don't know enough about to know if that's limited
Yeah.
to specific groups or
Well,
not.
oh,
Unfortunately.
yeah. I guess I'm just.
He
thinking
also
of,
might not be, like,
the use
a
of
pure
psychedelics
tribe.
and things like that. I think I more associate with the Southwest, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely
don't know
possible.
enough about
I
its
thought they kind of
comments.
all had totems and stuff. Is that not so?
Well, a lot have totems, but they don't necessarily have personal. Again, unfortunately,
Also, just
our-
the idea that you have to take some kind of psychedelic to, encounter your animal. I don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's also possible. I mean, again, just putting aside the fact, like, let's ignore for the moment the phoniness of their advisor. Like, it's also possible, I mean, look where we are right now. What, Voyager's late 24th century? We're here in the early-ish 21st. The Native American population's already been horribly decimated. It's completely possible that over the course of the next 300 years, tribes merge, combine, traditions change.
Already there are a lot. Like I have a cousin who, and I'm hopefully getting this right because I believe he's half Mohawk, and he was married for a while to a woman who was another tribe, and they had a kid. So what does that make the kid?
Mm.
Well, I don't know. I think it's no different than any other intermarrying cultures, right? The kids probably, I got.
I think
my
it depends. Yeah,
parents,
it depends on the
my
culture.
father's side's from Italy. My mother's side's from elsewhere in Europe.
Yeah, but the thing is if one of you is from two different places in Europe, you're probably still more likely to be at least in the same, like, faith, or at least a similar faith. And, like, if your different Native American tribes may have had, like, vastly different
Oh,
sort
sure.
of spiritual and religious beliefs.
I
Like, I
mean-
feel like if your mom's from Italy and your dad's from Germany, you probably celebrate Christmas. I feel like if you're from two intermingling tribes, there's probably a lot more, like,
Yeah,
I don't know what the words I want are.
I feel like
but
you just
a
it's
lot
an
of more different
amalgamation. You have
traditions.
your own
Yeah.
your own family traditions. There's other instances that I don't. Basically, I'm saying I don't think this is an experience specific to Native Americans. I think it's probably
No, but I guess
anywhere
there's
where you have cultures sort of.
yeah, but there's a bit
intermingling.
more. I assume. Again, I'm speaking as a friggin' honky. There's probably a bit more pressure there of like, oh shit, like we'd like to keep our traditions alive. Our numbers have been very badly sort of whittled down and such. And again, I mean, look at how little we goddamn know, because our own school systems never really bothered to teach us anything about the people we displaced so horribly. Also, I didn't know this until, like, school never taught me. Native Americans didn't have the right to vote until the 1970s.
Holy fuck balls! Are you
What
serious?
the ass?
Yeah. Like, what? I'm sorry, what?
They've literally fucking lived here forever. Are you fucking shitting me? That's
yeah, if we're going to
crazy.
keep making decisions about how to treat them, they should be involved in those decisions.
Well, that's probably exactly why they fucking didn't want them voting.
Like, I kind of thought
That's horrible. That's fucked.
Yeah, like, and again, like, that has never came up in anything where people were talking about, like, anyway, let's not harp on this the whole time.
Yeah, anyway.
We all still, again, lack sort of the proper background.
You know who has a better background?
The
EMH. Amazing. Because I love it when Torres comes in and she's like all smug and like, I'm going to school the EMH on Chakotay's beliefs because I know Chakotay better than you do. And he's like, yeah, but I have the computer knowledge of all the things based on his history. So yeah, you're the one who's getting it wrong. Take that stone out of that quadrant.
I love, because it didn't occur to me, but as soon as he said it's a proper, emergency medical program, you're going to program it with medicine and traditions. Because again, sometimes you're going to come up against like, oh, this culture, don't do an autopsy, or this culture,
That was the Ferengi, right?
Yeah. Don't use a medicine derived from X because Y. It's like, so like it's important to know the idea that it's important for him to know all these things, whether or not he believes them or not. The fact that it's important really speaks to like.
I actually have a philosophical question about that, though.
Yeah.
Which is to say that as a doctor, your first and foremost whole thing is that you're supposed to save lives.
Mm-hmm.
What
if the human will not let you save their life, though?
Yeah.
What can you do?
But what if, like, for example, you're dealing with someone like Chakotay, who was literally brain dead? What if his beliefs were like, I don't know, like say he doesn't have a DNR, but like that's what his culture is like DNR. Do they then just like let him go? You know what I mean?
Possibly.
Like if you haven't spoken to someone directly about that, I don't know.
And there's also, I mean, it could be one of these things where like when you join Starfleet, you waive certain rights.
Or at least you have to document what yours are, even if they conflict with your culture, or if they conflict with what Starfleet would do just naturally. Like if Starfleet would be like, no, we can probably save you, but you have written in your file, like in this instant, don't save me, then that's gold.
Yeah.
I also assume that a situation like this where we don't really know what happened, and we know that there's weird shit.
Yeah.
If they had flown back to the nebula and there was just nothing there, they'd be like, all right, well, I guess he's dead.
Yeah.
Pull the plug. But in this case, it's like, something weird happened on that shuttle. Maybe we should go check it out and then decide, whether or not we can put him back together.
Right, because Tuvok was selling this lie of, oh, we were attacked by a ship.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Yep. They might know what's going on.
Yeah.
Thanks,
that's right.
Tuvok.
So I don't know. My tinfoil hat theory is that these aliens, the Black Nebula energy aliens, are actually the same aliens from Power Play.
Ooh, that's cool.
They kind of act the same way. They do
Which
similar
one's Power
shit.
Play again?
It's the one where there's the aliens that are criminals and they take over Troy and
Miles and Deanna. And Data. You said Troy.
And Data.
Yeah, and they were pretending to be the crew of a crashed Starfleet vessel at first, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But they're like manipulative jerks. In that case, they were extra bad because they were like criminals.
Mm.
So they didn't just want to like they wanted to take over all of the ship so that they could escape their prison.
Although I think the idea with these guys was less that, like, they took over Tuvok because they needed him to lure the ship, but then I think the idea was once they got there, they were just going to eat their neural energy, right? They weren't actually going to take them over.
Tasty.
Nom neural energy.
Man, you know what they should do? They should get they should tell these aliens about that planet with the rings where all the neural energy from that species that dies
is.
It'd be a fucking, it's a sizzler, man. Just go. Just eat to your heart's content.
It's terrible.
It's a sizzler.
Oh, that's cruel. Funny, but cruel.
Mm.
I mean, theoretically, they could find out about it because they had access to Tuvok. They could have just be like, oh, neural energy ring planet. Let's just go there.
Oh no, God! Now I'm worried that's what they did.
I don't think they can leave the nebula. That's why they needed the ship to come to them.
That's a good point.
That would make sense.
There was a comment on Memory Alpha I read that there was supposed to be a plot point where, where that flash thing happens and everyone's like, oh, and then the alien jumps out of Tuvok and was like, oh no, I didn't like that, and runs away or something.
Yeah.
Originally, it would be Tuvok is blinded by a phaser flash, but both Tim Russ and the director, whose name I didn't write down evidently, but Tim Russ and the director said, yeah, but Vulcans have extra eyelids, so no.
I was just going to ask about the goddamn eyelids.
I'm
Good
glad
job.
that they caught that.
I love that Tim Russ knew that.
Yeah, he's a better Star Trek fan than the writers.
That's kind of great. Because you never really know with these shows what anyone's history with it is when they jump aboard, but clearly he's a fan.
Well, or he just did all his research, as a good Vulcan should.
Either way, does say censors, right?
Sensors.
That's terrific. I love that. Yeah, that made me think I had a thought, but apparently I didn't.
No. Here's a thought. Why isn't Janeway still in her British garb when she goes to sickbay?
It must have taken her 20 minutes to get out of it.
I know. Unless it was just beamed onto her.
Yeah, they probably should have established that at some point, that the clothes are hollows too. But the problem is we've had so many times where they've left not sickbay, holodeck in costume so that we know that apparently they're not. But
they're just getting dressed up on their own.
You know what it is? That dress is so fucking huge, it was tearaway. Her uniform was underneath.
Oh, maybe there's just new holodeck technology now.
Because
we also see that in First Contact.
Mm-hmm.
When
that's
Picard
true.
and Lily have holographic clothes, evidently.
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah. It's the only logical explanation for how quickly they change. Now,
even when he's programming the computer, he like looks at her, he's like, oh, something in size 8 or whatever.
I think he just specifies the material or something. Satin or some such.
Oh, yeah, something in satin, yeah. Right. But still, I mean, he specifies the material, so clearly he's programming the computer to make her a dress.
Yeah. So now, wasn't this whole holonovel thing left over it was cut from a different episode?
Yeah, it was cut from Eye of the Needle, which is the one where we meet that Romulan out of time. And it was originally meant to go there, but that episode was, it was getting too long to even fit in anyway, plus it was going way over budget, mostly because of the holonovel thing, which is very expensive to do. So they're like, leave it, because they had actually, like, all of this was filmed for Eye of the Needle.
Right.
And they literally just took the whole thing, chopped out the end where Kim would have just walked on, or I believe Kim would have walked on and said, Janeway, we need you over here, instead of just being a voice.
Yeah.
That says the thing. It also was originally meant to be a Wild West program, but that would have been very expensive because they would have needed horses, and then when you need horses, you need horse wranglers. When you need horse wranglers, you need all these other things. And also, Mulgrew refuses to work with horses.
Good for her.
That's fair.
Didn't say.
Do we think it's like a fear thing or like a cruelty thing?
Could be an allergy.
We're going to say horses know what they did.
So we know Captain Picard likes horses. We know Captain Kirk likes horses. Do we know about Sisko's
Sisko
horse?
does not like horses.
He does, yeah. Well, I don't know.
He doesn't strike me as being outdoorsy.
He fishes.
But that's different. That's a different kind of outdoorsy, I should say. Like, there's a special kind of outdoorsy to be a horse person.
Yeah, it usually requires you to be rich.
Yeah, but it's the future. No one's rich.
Yeah, you can just replicate a horse.
Weird.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, he grew up in working at his father's restaurant. I don't feel like Joe was taking him out horseback riding much when he was a kid.
Yeah, probably not.
They were too busy running the restaurant together.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And we know he was...
I said that makes sense.
Yeah, and he was learning piano. And,
Can't do piano and horses. That's
No, they both take too much time. It's one or the other.
Now,
but what if you could play piano while riding on horseback?
Then Mr. Barnum would like to offer you a job.
Now, at what point during the holonovel would Janeway have discovered that the handsome fellow had been banging her grandmother?
That would have been the next scene. But she would have been into it, so that it doesn't affect the plot at all.
The grandmother's the one on the 4th floor or whatever, where she's not allowed to go.
Oh, God. Where she's writing furiously into her little diary about all the erotic ghost sex she's been having.
I looked him up
Nice.
too because I thought maybe he was familiar, but I think it's just that he kind of sounds like Brent Spiner when he's being Sherlock Holmes.
Funny.
Which is funny because that guy is actually British.
Well, as we know, Brent Spiner is a longtime fan of the show, so I'm sure he'll be touched that you felt that his accent was on par with an actual English person.
Was
Just
that guy an
kidding.
English person? Do we
yes.
know?
Yeah,
Okay.
I looked him up. I didn't. He was. This is his only appearance in Star Trek. I've never seen anything else he was in, but he is actually British.
Okay, shocking.
He was in Oi Govna, the series.
Here's my favorite note that I took today. If something happens, it's safe to blame Paris. We'll always blame Paris.
Joke.
Fuck, I don't think I work for this week, but keep that in your back pocket. I'm sure that'll be an episode title someday.
Yay.
Like, if only this episode had been with the murder one, it would have been perfect.
Oh, yeah. The murder one was bad, though.
True.
It was bad.
But still, as a title, it would have been amazing.
I also called it the moment they said, let's give various controls over to the EMH. I'm like, yeah, but you can turn the EMH off.
That's exactly what I
That's
said.
not useful at all. And then they do it like 3 scenes later. I'm like, called it. Fuck you. I could write this show.
Still, it gives him an idea that will come to fruition someday. Foreshadowing.
Aw.
Just as a side note, Ames, you could definitely write this show.
I was getting, remember Dramatis Personae, the one where everyone was a different personality in DS9 and Dax was sleepy and Cisco made a clock?
Oh, yes.
I was getting those kinds of vibes off of the everyone doesn't trust each other for the second act of the episode. Because that was actually kind of interesting because, you know, if you can't trust anyone, what the fuck do you do? Because anyone could be taken over at any time.
Yeah.
That was a good time. And I was also really hoping during that scene on the bridge when Tuvok stuns everybody that it was going to turn up to be like a Reservoir Dogs thing where everyone's pointing a phaser at somebody else and they all shoot at once and kill everyone.
Now, this is interesting, right? So now we know that the phasers apparently have a mode that you can just shoot it and it knocks everybody out in the room. Why don't we
that
use
wide
mode
array thing
all the time? Because, like, you know, usually when you're shooting phasers, you're stunning people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Just
we're not monsters.
shoot them all, and then, you know, figure out who the good guys are, figure who the bad guys are, handcuff the bad guys.
Well, I think this is one of those rare cases where there wasn't any cover for anyone to duck behind. So that's why you could do that. Because they've mentioned wide beam before, but this is one of the few, if not the first time we've seen it. But yeah, presumably in your normal firefight, people can just duck behind shit, but this really, there's nowhere for anyone to duck, which is why it worked.
Yeah, well, I mean, it also just seems like if you're using the narrow beam mode, you have to aim. You have to aim carefully. If you're in wide beam mode, just wait until they come out from behind their cover and fire, and you'll get them.
Yeah, it's like when you play a video game and you have a character that auto-aims and thank God.
Here we go. It uses more energy. Yes.
Yeah,
Way
like maybe
more.
you can only use it once and then it has to recharge for a long time. And so if you would be better off using
Or it'll
single
overheat
shots.
faster, or
Yeah.
some lame technical excuse.
I felt so bad for Harry when both Tuvok and Janeway were like, stun the other one. And Harry's like, Mommy and Daddy are fighting.
Literally, exactly what I said.
Poor Harry. He's so innocent.
He really
it's just
is.
like, oh, you can't put this much
Pressure?
effort on this, you poor thing.
I think I said this in our first episode, but Jesus Christ, he is so young. Like, when I last watched this as a fucking, basically, child, you know, I was at that time of life where just adults are just this mass, you know? It's like, there's children, teenagers, adults, and old people. And now that I am pushing 40, you know, I understand nuance. And it's like, oh my God, he's a baby. Oh, he's not ready for any of this. Oh, the universe is going to be so cruel to him.
And it really is.
Yes,
Yeah.
since it's taking a break from punching O'Brien, yes.
Yeah.
The The presence of Harry Kim in this universe at the same time as O'Brien is probably the only thing that's kept O'Brien alive.
Yeah. And occasionally it's like, hey, you want to fuck with O'Brien? Let's fuck with that Kim guy today. Okay.
Yeah, I'll also say that I was... When they bring back the fucking wheel at the end, I'm like, oh god, you're bringing the wheel back as their central MacGuffin. Oh, you're using it in an actually, like, appropriate way where
that was a
Chakotay's
relief.
spirit, like, showed them a map using it instead of, like, making it a metaphor about coyotes or something. And I was like, okay, you pulled it off. I accept this for this episode. Great.
Yeah, I had a similar. It's like, oh no, what are they doing with this? It's like, oh, all right, that works.
Yeah, good for Chakotay. And then we technobabble away how we put his brain back in his brain. Brain was brain.
Lot of lube and right up the tuchus.
There's a long distance from the brain.
No, that's where his is always at, is in his butt, maybe.
Maybe.
It's like the butt aspiration. Right. It actually gets into the bloodstream quicker that way. And
oh, yes.
From a couple of weeks ago.
The old
respiration. Did you say aspiration?
You know what? I did. Butt respiration. That wasn't even on purpose is the worst part. Speaking of the worst part, looking at Vidians.
Oh, Vidians. Let's move on. Let's talk about faces. Oh my goodness, the Vidians are back. And they're grosser than ever. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Vidians.
I hate looking at them. I know that's the
they're
point.
So fucked up.
And calling them faces is kind of a stretch. They're more like open scabs.
Well, let's talk about, okay, we got a lot of faces going on in faces. Most of them are me going, ugh.
Yeah.
All right, so the Vidians are here. They've captured Torres, Paris, and our newest best friend, Durst. Nothing bad can happen to Durst.
I can't wait watching more of his adventures over the next several years.
So we've got them. They're going to dig us some tunnels and be a nice pile of organs when we need them. Wink. Now, their scientist weirdo, Sulan, is the weirdest fucking guy, guys. He has managed to excise all the Klingon genes out of Torres and make a 100% Klingon out of her. Because he wants to see if Klingon DNA will help them with their phage problem. Which, honestly, there's probably some decent science ideas there. But the way he's doing it is fucking wrong, you monster.
Yeah.
Now, what did they do with all the human DNA? No one is asking. Well, evidently they have enough material lying around that they didn't shove in their own faces to make a whole additional 100% human Torres. It's everything B'Elanna has ever wanted. A nice, smooth forehead.
She can buy hats!
Dude,
she can always wear hats.
They were able to make Troy look exactly like a fucking Romulan. Are you telling me she can't plastic surgery her way into a smooth forehead if she really wants?
I think that would be like a kind of guilt thing, though.
I also think it's the symbolism of the forehead.
I know.
The forehead symbolizes an element of her personality she doesn't like.
Let Ames finish. We'll have this discussion later.
Oh boy, yeah. The discussions in this episode are excellent, so I'm really looking forward. So, Klingon Torres tries hitting on Sulan a little bit as an escape tactic, and Sulan's got whatever passes for a boner for his people. Because I don't know what they've got, because they're falling a fucking part.
Couldn't look any worse than the rest of him, she said, hopefully.
So he decides, well, I'm just going to get myself all dolled up for B'Elanna. I wonder what kind of look she's into. Probably something like this. And he kills Durst and wears his face. Like a fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
Oh, Durst, we hardly knew ye.
Okay, sorry. We're just trying to get through the summary. Caitlin, shut up. Sorry.
We're good. We're almost there. We're almost at the most disgusting parts. So Klingon Torres attacks the fuck out of him because that's disgusting, Sulan. And she escapes. She goes and rescues human Torres, who is not holding her own at fucking all. They have a very interesting heart-to-heart about their two sides nature now being two one-side natures. Back on Voyager, Chakotay gets himself all dolled up, not in a Durst face, thank God, but as a Vidian, so he can go and infiltrate these tunnels and rescue some people. So that's what he does. He goes down there and he rescues all the people. But Klingon Torres, whoopsie, got herself shot a little and she dies. Wow. because we only need one Torres by the end of the episode, basically. Human Torres is getting sicker and sicker, so EMH crams the Klingon back into her body, plomeek soup all around the end.
Yeah.
That's this week's title, cramming it back in.
Yeah, no, thank you, please no.
So here's the thing. I was trying to figure out how human B'Elanna's genes were working, because
This doesn't make any sense to me, Jake.
Yeah, this episode is just magic.
well, okay, so hear me out. Okay.
I
so-
don't think I can hear you out, but I'll let Chris and Caitlin try.
Okay. So Torres has a father who is fully human
Mhm.
and a mother who is fully Klingon,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
right? So all of her Klingon DNA comes from her mother, and all of her human DNA comes from her father. So if you take all of her human DNA and create a person, and then you take all of her Klingon DNA and create a person, wouldn't those two people be clones of her father and her mother? Because a child is the mixing of the
No.
genes. And then
No.
if you separate those out,
No, he's got a point.
you have only the father's DNA and only the mother's DNA.
See, none of this sounds right, but I don't know enough about DNA.
No, that's got to be wrong, because the way biology works, what about like recessive genes and non-recessive genes and all that shit?
True.
But the thing is, that happens because you're mixing two of the same genes, and some of them are recessive. But in this case, there's no mixing. It's all dad and all mom. So that's just a clone at that point.
At the very least, they shouldn't have both been played by Roxanne Dawson. They should have each been played by a different actress.
Well, also,
that'd be
I feel like human B'Elanna should have been biologically male, like, right?
That's where I thought you were going with it.
That is
well,
where
that's where I started
I guess
from.
that
But then I'm
makes
like,
sense.
not only should she be biologically male, but she should probably also just be a clone of her father.
Yeah, because
Here's
the
my other
guy.
question, though. Between humans and Klingons, there also must be DNA that overlaps.
No, since
must
we're
be
all
some-
from
there
the
must be-
same.
Hmm?
Since we're all seeded by that alien race.
Yeah, fucking the chase. But no, there's got to be a lot that's in common. So
Yeah.
if they're saying the Klingon stuff is just the stuff that's not in common, right?
Is that what they're saying?
I don't know what I'm saying. God
like,
damn this episode.
That's the real problem here. Is like, because this got me thinking about other shit. Like, well,
oh no, that's your
just
first problem.
occurs to me is like, we talk about how, Klingon, a pure Klingon's going to have all these redundancies.
Yeah, she should have so many organs.
Well, that's the thing, but she's also part human. So is it just kind of a crapshoot? It's like she's got one heart but 4 kidneys. Does she have what's her ribcage like? Because I don't know if this is ever made canon, but I know I've seen drawings and the Klingon ribcage is almost a mesh, as opposed to ours, which is like a
Bones.
cage.
Ribs, yeah.
They've got sort of ribs, and then the ribs interconnect in other ways. So they,
Like cross-hatched ribs.
yeah, their
wow, I don't
ribcage
like
is a
that at
lot
all.
stronger in theory, and it's just I was, ugh. And then you look back, and again, this isn't necessarily, I don't think this was ever made canon, but it was understood, at least back in the day, that the only reason Spock was able to be born was due to a lot of scientific intervention.
That's not. We don't learn that until 2009, though, right?
No, this is actually something Roddenberry talked about in an interview once.
Oh,
way
weird.
back in the 70s or 60s.
Why was this never in the show? That would have been a really cool episode.
Who knows?
Because the show got canceled, probably.
Well, yeah. And plus we look at Spock, though, and it just seems like physiologically he's basically completely Vulcan because his heart's in the wrong place.
Yeah, his
quote
blood
Bones.
is green. His
Yeah,
blood should
it's-
be like a cross between red and green.
That goes back to what Caitlin was saying about dominant and recessive genes. That maybe in Vulcan's case, maybe the genes are, for hearts and things like that, are the Vulcan genes are dominant. The Vulcan traits are dominant, so the human traits get mostly washed out. Maybe with humans and Klingons, it's the opposite. So you get more human features than Klingon features.
Yeah,
other
she's
than maybe
definitely
the
more.
forehead.
That thing is once you got to the later series, she's more sort of a mix of things. you've had other people that are sort of a blend of species and no one is particularly dominant. It's, weird.
Yeah.
Genetics
See, the
is
thing.
weird.
Hmm?
The genetics is weird.
Genetics
Yeah.
is weird. This episode, if you kind of ignore the genetics and just enjoy this as a way to explore the B'Elanna character, actually does a lot of interesting stuff. Because I was expecting what's the Double Kirk episode?
That's what I was comparing it to.
What's it fucking called? Enemy Within. I was expecting an Enemy Within, and it is not Enemy Within. So, this is the week I give the episodes a lot of credit for doing things that are different and new and interesting. Because the thing I wanted to bring up is that the writer of this episode, Kenneth Biller, what he was most interested when he's handed this idea for the script was likening it to the struggle to understand biracial identity, because he had biracial identity in his family.
Oh, good.
And he wanted to find a way to explore that, and that's very, very much on display. This episode is used in a lot of university classes to talk about race.
I was actually kind of hoping, because when I watched it, I was like, wow, I really hope the person writing this actually had some experience with this, because it is very obvious what they're going for.
Yeah, and it's obvious, but it's done really well. I give Roxanne Dawson a lot of credit because she does a great job with it. Mm-hmm. She plays two different fucking characters that are both the same character and not damn. She said when she got this script, she said, "Oh fuck, what the fuck is this?" I don't know this character well enough yet because it's season 1.
Yeah, it's really early.
I don't know this character well enough yet to be doing this kind of exploration yet.
That's true.
But at the end of it, when she's gotten this chance to do this exploration, she walks out of it saying, "Wow, I learned a lot about B'Elanna, and it's really good, and it's going to be really helpful moving forward."
That's nice. I do appreciate that. She clearly sat down and really watched some other Klingon episodes to determine how to talk as Klingon B'Elanna.
Is it mostly the teeth? I think it's mostly the teeth.
To an extent, it's definitely, we talked about that. The teeth is part of it, but there's definitely a pace and a cadence that, when she's talking at a normal pace, because at first she's talking really strainedly. But I was it's almost like she's kind of doing a Duras sisters impression in some ways.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Something I thought was, interesting. It's one of those things where it's okay, this kind of takes me out of it, but at the same time I understand why they did it this way. And it goes back to what you're saying about using this as a lens to talk about race and issues like that. But the fact that Klingon B'Elanna, not only does she have all of the Klingon traits like aggression and she seems to have lost her engineering ability like that.
I was really hoping she wouldn't.
The smarts are the human side, I guess, but whatever. But that Klingon B'Elanna is also suddenly really into honor and shit like that, and
yeah, these should have been things that are learned behaviors, not things that are.
It's a nature nurture thing,
yeah.
right? Is she? So are we to understand that this whole Klingon notion of honor and that is a biological feature and not just a cultural thing?
I think, some of this doesn't. Certain aspects of this just, you can't think about them scientifically or it falls apart.
Of course.
Because, they both have the same experiences and memories and things that should have shaped their personalities regardless. But presumably having been raised mostly by her mother, who was completely Klingon, she likely at least learned about the culture. And ultimately it's something that, again, in her attempts to want to fit in or whatever, stuff she probably pushed away, ignored, whatever. But she knows it all. And then it's when she gets split into her component parts that the part of her that is pure Klingon is no, I am into this shit, actually.
Yeah, it's she can't help it.
Yeah. She's always, presumably B'Elanna already knows all of it. But again, it's something she has tried to suppress in herself.
See, I was more not offended, but I was more taken out of it when human B'Elanna is suddenly a coward. And humans aren't all necessarily cowards.
Yeah, well, like I said, that's where it feels the most like the Enemy Within, because there was
a little bit.
Good Kirk was a wimp, evil Kirk was aggressive.
And rapey.
Ugh, yes.
I started wondering at the end if it would have been, because I know, like Biller said, it would have been more interesting if at the end, instead of putting the Klingon back into human B'Elanna, if she just stayed as she was and had some lasting effects, because Voyager tends not to have a ton of lasting effects because it's still an episodic show.
Yeah.
And I wondered if it would have been more interesting if it were the inverse, if human B'Elanna got killed saving everybody because she's trying to prove that she can do shit like Klingon B'Elanna can do. If she got killed, and then for the rest of the show, we have Klingon Torres on the ship, really learning what it means to be Klingon, a thing about her that she hated about herself for her whole life. And also, it would mean, like, because, if we were left with a human at the end, then we just have another human on the show, when the most interesting thing about Star Trek is the play between the aliens.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that was interesting. I thought that would have been an interesting thing too, to have human B'Elanna sacrifice herself, and that really would have been somewhat, that really would have been unexpected and interesting. I don't know. See, just knowing Voyager, they loved the reset button at the end of the episode, so I don't think they would have,
except for Durst.
Yeah, well, minor characters notwithstanding, I don't think. Like they'll like kill off a character and have them back to life in the same episode, right? So it's not
like Chakotay, right?
Exactly. So yeah, I wouldn't see that happening, but it would have been interesting, I think, to know, like it's so telegraphed from the start that it's like, oh, human B'Elanna is the B'Elanna that we're meant to like more, right? She's
really?
She's the B'Elanna that's more like the B'Elanna that we know from the show, other than she's not as she doesn't have as big a chip on her shoulder. But we identify, I think, more with human B'Elanna because, well, she's human. Her
struggle was cool. Her struggle
was cool.
And I'm finally free of that shit, but I miss it now.
Yeah, I think it would have been interesting if human B'Elanna had been killed, but I still think they would have
smoothed some of her ridges before the end,
reset it. But it would, I don't know, maybe maybe I just want a different episode, an episode where, one of the B'Elannas is killed in the second act, and then we have a whole half of a show left to talk about Klingon B'Elanna trying to be a person on the ship and not doing well with it. Or
I'm sure no matter what, though, Dawson would have been like, look, I'm not doing the full Klingon makeup for the next 6 years, so
oh no,
either I'm hybrid or human, pick one.
All it did for me was make it more apparent how shitty her like half Klingon makeup is, having her in full Klingon kit. I really find that her forehead is like distractingly cheap looking, and it just really takes me out of it every time.
Like I said, they change it eventually. It gets a little better.
And the hair too. The hair looks better.
Yeah, once they tweak it a bit, it's less distracting.
Well, there's so many bad wigs in this particular show that doesn't take me out of it as much. But yeah, the headpiece, I'm like, ooh.
Oh, I mean, think back to like season 1 Worf. His forehead was awful.
Oh god, it was terrible. But that was also 10 years ago, or no, more than that, right?
Less. Because this is the mid-90s. That was 89.
Yeah, that was 7 years ago.
Oh, right. Deep Space Nine ended in 99. It didn't start in 99.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking incorrectly. Well, either way, they figured it out for Worf. They could have figured it out for her. They've already learned all the tricks they needed.
Well, they wanted to go for, something that was more human-like, I think,
Right, because she's half and all that.
No, I know. I just feel like it looks shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing I wonder a little bit about this episode, because, splitting her in two and then doing the split screen effect, sure, if that's what you want to do, go for it. But I also wonder a little if it would have been more interesting if it were just one person, if they literally just made B'Elanna all Klingon.
Yeah, but then they couldn't have had the conversation.
Yeah, then it's a fully different episode.
That's a different episode.
Yeah.
Want to hear the original idea?
Yeah.
Ooh, let me guess, because sometimes this is insane. Okay, Tom Paris is split into Tom Paris and Nick Locarno.
Oh my God, I wish.
He's split into Tom and Paris, a city. He becomes the human embodiment of an entire city. His head's the Eiffel Tower.
Woof.
That's what it is.
The original idea was still did have some more stuff in common with the actual episode that we get, in that they were still going to split Torres in two, but it was going to be just some random aliens who were experimenting on how to achieve purity in a species.
Ugh.
I thought you were going to say they were still going to split her in half, but they were going to do it right at the waist.
They were going to use the magic box from a magic show.
They're going to split her in two, but each one was going to be half the size of the regular B'Elanna. So they're actually going to be played by children.
They have really high-pitched voices and run around and shit. It's going to be great.
So, did it strike anybody else that Klingon Torres seems to be the only character that was upset about Durst? Like, nobody else seemed to notice or give a shit.
Well, it's because they also had only noticed him for the first time last week.
That's true. Like, even like, you'd think that once Chakotay showed up and saw that Durst's face had been grafted onto somebody else, he'd be like, "Oh my God, Durst, no!" But no, it's just like, "For to beam up, we're out of here."
Well, because by that point, like, both Tom had already assumed he was dead, and he told Chakotay pretty sure he's dead. So he's like, "Oh, that sucks." Admittedly, yes. Then actually seeing his face on somebody should have maybe gotten
My joke at the end was 3 humans, 1 Klingon, and 1 human face to beam up.
Just they have something to put in the torpedo tube.
Oh, that's sad.
I guess they can't really waste torpedoes, so just shoot the face out in airlock in a box.
I just don't get how Dr. Fuckenstein thought that, like, taking someone's friend's face off and putting it onto his own face was going to be, like, a good move for romantic overtures.
Have you met the Vidians? They are inhuman monsters.
I mean, I know that, but, like, he literally killed someone's friend and then tried to court them.
And
That's
that was
crazy.
his first thing he tried. Yeah. It wasn't like, bring her flowers
maybe buy her some flowers.
But here's the thing, though. So
B'Elanna
had already propositioned him at that point. Like,
sure.
Maybe
like,
she's
she had
into
already
the
been like, I'll show
look.
you my Klingon ways. So I'm like, maybe here's what I imagine. He's like, "Oh yeah, I totally want to do this, but my penis is literally disintegrated. There's nothing there. So I'm gonna go get me a human penis, graft it on, and while I'm there, I'll get the face too. Why not?"
While you're under, get the facelift while you're under. Yeah.
Or he learns that because she's a Klingon, she's gonna want 2 dicks, right?
That's also a possibility.
Yeah. These fucking bastards. God, I hate them.
Good, that you're meant to.
No, I know, but Jesus, like, well, because in their first appearance, the show tried to pretend maybe they're sympathetic if you squint and tilt your head really hard.
Well, fuck, Janeway was certainly torn up about it.
Yeah.
It's like, there's nothing sympathetic. This is fucking gross.
And this time's like, okay, you couldn't have just extracted the DNA, dumped the human shit, and just built yourself a Klingon. You had to split this woman in half, and with your stupid magic medicine, and
I know, he makes a comment when Klingon Torres first wakes up, like, "Man, I probably shouldn't have left you with the memories and consciousness, should I? Oh well, you're here now." It's like, no, you probably shouldn't have. That'd be it'd still be horrifying, but
yeah.
Oh, because that's the other thing. Did they? So they must. So does original B'Elanna's body exist anywhere, or did that just get destroyed in this?
Damn.
Because here's the thing: if they like either both B'Elannas should be half the size of original B'Elanna,
which is
or
what I said.
they had to add additional material, or they just created 2 new creatures, one with only human and then one with only Klingon DNA.
In which case, you'd think they'd be doing that to themselves a lot, if only to get more organs.
Yeah.
Maybe they are, and that's just not something we get to see.
So they must have like body replicating technology somehow, because, like you say, either the B'Elannas are both equal size to the original B'Elanna. So
yeah, well, again, it's like their medicine is basically fucking sorcery. the one thing it can't do is cure their stupid disease.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Finally has time to read those books, and what does he do? Breaks his glasses.
That's right.
Motherfucker.
So, is there a possibility that on this planet, in some sort of a tank somewhere, is just the corpse of B'Elanna Torres?
Nope, they've used those organs already.
Yeah.
Gross.
So is B'Elanna dead? Did they kill her? Is the new
Oh
B'Elanna
boy. Oh.
a
Oh,
new
now we're
person?
getting into some questions.
I don't know.
I kind of want to look up because I know there's also, this isn't the first time they've done this because there's a short story somewhere in which Spock is split into a full human and a full Vulcan.
Huh.
Whoa.
Thing
And
is,
I wonder
don't
what
think
they
that
did.
I think the human would have nothing. Like, because so much of Spock's identity is tied up in being Vulcan.
The
Yeah.
human would just be nothing but an emotional wreck because it's like I get all the emotions all the time now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Because, yeah, like, Spock is pretty indistinguishable from a full Vulcan.
No, you know what? You know what a full human Spock does? Goes straight to Nurse Chapel's quarters.
Yeah, I was gonna
Hey.
say.
Knocks on the door. He's got like a fucking crate of condoms. And is like, let's go.
Condoms that need room for the little ears.
No, this is fully human, so we're good.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no more little ears.
Maybe she won't be into it if it isn't for the ears.
Yeah, she does like the ears.
Rats.
Very briefly.
No, full human Spock goes straight to Captain Kirk's quarters.
McCoy's?
McCoy's.
No, that's still Vulcan.
Oh,
Mm,
yeah,
That's
you
that's
know,
a good
yeah,
point.
yeah.
That's a good point.
Full Vulcan Spock is just having a massive orgy in sickbay.
Very briefly, because I know we gotta kind of wrap to move on to our activity. We've got our first non-Neelix Talaxian.
Oh boy,
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
even more annoying than Neelix.
And oh boy, terrifying looking. Like, wow, more Talaxians need wider heads, because that makeup on a thin face is
Oh, boy.
just...
You know,
Like, it works more on Ethan Phillips, who's got a wider face. On that thin fella, he just looks like a fucking wet rat.
Okay, but is that really true, or is it just because we're used to seeing Neelix?
No, it's because that guy looks like a wet rat. Like, he is just like, he looks wrong.
so how come Voyager didn't rescue the other prisoners?
Kind of thought
That's
that.
my question.
Because
You know,
they
like, do
completed
they-
their quest and they don't need to do anything else.
Like, if they pulled out of that planet, they left rubber, they peeled out, and then Neelix is like, wow, B'Elanna, I'm so glad, you're back to your old self. How, I'm sorry you had to go through that. And she's like, oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, there was another Talaxian there that we met. And I just picture Neelix's face just being like, what?
Well, even weirder was like,
where is he? Did we rescue him? I hope we... no, oh, he's still there? He's getting his organs harvested right now?
I was expecting him to maybe go after them, like, hey, can I come too?
Yeah, no kidding.
But because he was right there, he totally would have heard Chakotay say, hi, Tom.
And there was another human-looking thing walking around at one point, I thought, because this was after, not
Yeah, there were
Geiger,
other
goddammit,
prisoners.
Durst got killed.
Yeah, it just straight up looked human. Like, unless we're supposed to assume on his way in and out, Chakotay just murdered everyone so they're free to go about their lives. Yeah, they've totally just got their people and fucking ditched.
I love the bit where Chakotay, when he first sort of shows up and the guy's like, who are you? I don't recognize you. And he's like, it's a new face. And the guy's just like, oh. So that's just like a regular occurrence with these people. It's just like, yeah, sometimes somebody that you've known for years just has a new face.
Yeah, it's me, it's Fred. Oh, yeah, he's looking good.
Yeah, but he didn't have like a nice new Dursty face. He still had a gross, scraped up, open wound face.
Here's the secret they don't
That's
want you to
the
tell.
new face?
When they don't have a good face to graft on, they just use scrotum skin.
Oh, I was going to ask if they would use the butthole because it's got a mouth built in, but you're right, scrotum skin works too.
Oh, dear.
Sorry.
Well, let's wash the taste out of our mouths with this week's thing.
Yeah, we got a new blog activity this week. We covered already for a couple different show activities. We did title cards before. We did the theme songs last week. This week, we're going to look at the whole opening title sequences, of which there are many versions. So we might make a couple calls on the fly so that we don't have to talk about every single one of them, because that would just be inhuman.
Now, since we already talked about the songs, are we just evaluating these on the visuals?
The graphics? Up to you guys.
I feel like it's a little unfair to say Enterprise, because we already shat on it due to its song.
Oh, we can shit on it more.
We can, but what if I actually really like the visuals of it, and it would be way better with a different song?
That could be the discussion.
Then say that.
I might say that.
You should.
Let's see.
All right, I'm going to start with season 1 of TOS. It's because I don't know if it's worth watching both season 1 and 2 and season 3, because the only thing that's really different is the song
and the color of the text.
And,
I think we can fill that in.
Yeah,
mentally.
All right.
I think starring might be over-egging the pudding a little.
Ba 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 ba.
They only mention Shatner and Spock.
Yeah,
in season 1. Yeah, it's
yes.
only Shatner and
Later,
Spock.
Wow.
later they had DeForest Kelly to the opening.
Wow.
Yeah, and then still that's it.
Yeah, everyone else's end credits only.
Wow, damn.
Yeah,
and
it's
the
also it's
rest.
very short. Like it's I think it's either the shortest or among the shortest of the sequences, because
Well, that's good, because there's
they don't have
nothing
to cover a lot.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this
There's
is
nothing
also
going on
the
there.
CG version.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Oh, this is the
remaster.
That's a good point. Yeah, so we got the remastered version. It's literally the ship fooms by, and according to God, I forget, because I know on Memory Alpha they said whose idea this was to do it this way. But instead of just, ship fooms by with name, it's the ship fooms by as if it's delivering the name, which I think is a bit of a stretch.
I never got that,
No.
so they fucked up.
Anything else that we want to say about the TOS sequence?
The title song is certainly iconic, but the opening is nothing special, let's be
Quite
honest.
forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the 60s. I couldn't imagine them doing much more. So it kind of gets a pass because of that a little bit.
Like, just to compare to a contemporary, it was often compared to Lost in Spaces was probably better.
Oof.
All right, I'm going to play the TAS theme for you guys.
Oh,
with
no.
the opening sequence.
The Love Boat!
Seriously. Damn,
And
still
James
giving,
Doohan as everyone else.
still giving the shaft to literally everyone else, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so the thing that I kind of want to shit on the animated series opening sequence is that this is an animated show.
Yeah.
It should be like an animated sequence, but like
Nope.
the whole fucking show, they barely animate
Yeah, I was
anything.
gonna say,
Though
calling that
being
an
fair-
animated show is a stretch.
Yeah.
See, I was actually going to say the opposite and say that, wow, the animation sure was better on that than any other part of the show.
Yeah, at least
I mean,
things
that can be
moved.
true. And
Sparse though it was, at least the colors were right and it was pretty smooth and the lines were nice and it wasn't a blurry pile of shit.
I don't know. Whenever there's that scene where the Enterprise is supposed to be going away, but instead it just goes across the screen
Yeah,
and
it
gets
sure
just
does.
the tiniest bit smaller, but the angle is still it's literally
Wrong.
just they dragged the Enterprise facing away across the screen and it looks distractingly wrong.
it is
Yeah.
bad.
Well, that's how that whole Funimation thing, right? Is that it's just
Yeah,
one picture repeated, and changed slightly.
American animation was really in like a dark ages from like the early 60s to like mid 80s.
In that
Ancient
History Channel
animation.
documentary, they talk about how they save so much money by just animating the running animation once.
Yep, and reusing it ad nauseum.
Yeah, if you guys haven't been watching The Center Seat, which is the documentary series on Star Trek on the History Channel, narrated by Gates. Thanks, Gates.
Bill Gates, of course.
they do a whole episode on the animated series, and they talk about how, oh yeah, they saved a lot of money by doing the running in silhouette and using the same shot of the ship in every single episode 15 times, and they show literally all the uses of that one scene of the Enterprise just going by this way, back to back to back to back to back, and it's like, yeah, they used it a lot, and it's the same every time.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, when the series did it, because you saw the Enterprise model go by, and it was, you know, it was funny because in the unremastered version, you could even tell, like, times they had reused footage from the pilot because the nacelles were different. But with that, you're like, I get it. It's the 60s. It's live action. They didn't have a ton of money. With this, again, it's like, it's animated. In theory, you have more flexibility, and yet somehow they had less. Like,
yeah. Because they had to
all
keep it
the
as
money
cheap as
they
possible.
saved not hiring Walter.
yeah. Look, ham isn't cheap.
A good ham.
Yeah.
Like Kirk.
Yeah.
So
you
I'm gonna
know,
move
not
on.
only,
No, go ahead.
sorry, not only not hiring Walter, but also not hiring.
Any other actors just making
Doing, yeah.
all of it for free,
Yeah.
presumably.
And Majel.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, and Majel, you're right.
And sometimes Nichelle.
On occasion.
Yeah, I'm
So,
going to keep us
TNG?
moving forward. So, yeah, we're going to watch the TNG opening sequence.
Yeah, now what's interesting there is that, so we do get all of the names
Mhm.
of the
Yeah.
main cast, but only, so it's Stewart and Frakes up front, and then everybody else is alphabetical by last name.
That doesn't surprise me.
Probably
Yeah.
just in their contract.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have to be listed first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how it starts off with some planets, which is kind of fun. But then the rest is literally just the ship, then some names, and the ship, then some names. And granted, the ship looks good. The ship does look really good.
Yeah, especially in the HD remaster, it looks really great.
Yeah. But
Now,
yeah,
they
it is almost as simple as the TOS.
Yeah, pretty much.
After we see some planets.
Yeah, and I think Jake was saying it changes, like, because in this it was our solar system. Later, isn't it just sort of generic fake planets or something?
Yeah, it's just they changed out and I feel like the quality of the animation's a little better for the later seasons, but
maybe.
it's really just they change what planets that we see up front.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. I tried to get all the variations. I don't know if we'll watch all the variations, but that one I didn't even realize there was a variation.
Yeah, and again, it's not huge. It's just it goes from being the solar system to made up space.
Oh, well, that's fun. Maybe I'll look at that on my own time, but we'll see. Okay, so for DS9, there are 3 different variations.
3.
I'm not going to bother showing you the first one, because the first one is only for Emissary.
Oh,
and
right, where they have it around Bajor.
Yeah, and the only difference... You don't even see Bajor.
Oh.
It's literally just the station. It's just shots and shots and shots and shots, and all shots of the station. The second variation, which happens the next episode, god damn it, which starts with the next episode, is the one we're going to watch right now. And then I think we will watch the other one, because the other one is different enough
Yeah.
that I do think it's worth watching. But here's seasons 1 through 3. Good shuttle pod action. Sadly, not high res.
Yeah. Well, I think there's some fan-made 4K version of this.
Really?
It doesn't look as nice, though. I mean, it looks nicer in some ways, but not as nice in others.
Yeah, I think the only difference between Emissary and this one is the wormhole. You get to see the wormhole at the
doesn't
end.
open up at the end, yeah.
Yeah.
Should we jump right into the other one and then discuss, or?
No, I do want to say something about this one
Okay.
before we watch the other one, and that's that I have to be the critical asshole, because I find this one so boring.
It's an interesting, sort of conundrum they found themselves in, because up until this point, openings had always just been ship fly through space names. Now there's like, oh fuck, this can't fly through space. Can we just follow a runabout? No, it's not the star vehicle. Fuck. So they had to...
It's literally just panning around and around and around Deep Space Nine until you're nauseous. The only things that happen is there's a little comet at the top, which is nice.
Yep.
And a shuttle pod goes by twice.
Yep. And then at the end, the wormhole goes kaboo.
I know. And because I know we talked about themes last week, but I find this one, like, it's kind of like a lullaby. Like, it's so quiet and soothing. And it just makes me want to fall asleep because this opening sequence is so dull.
Yeah, I feel like if it, I don't know, maybe they should have just gone shorter with it. Just made it.
They have to do all the names, though.
Yeah, they could have done the names quicker. I feel like they linger.
I bet you there's a union rule or something where it has to be so long, and certain people have different contracts where my name can only be on the screen by itself, kind of things.
Yeah, but also like maybe they could have the space between the names be a little shorter or something. But yeah,
they wanted to show off their
that's
nice
true.
model.
I think this is the longest opening title sequence of all of them, including the new ones. Yeah, because these are a full minute 53.
Wow.
And the others are usually about a minute and a half. Or thereabouts. Some of them even shorter. Lower Decks is shorter. I'm going to play the seasons 4 through 7 one because the song is different and there's a lot of like additional stuff that they do that's not just panning around the station. We're going to listen to that right now.
Yeah, so I think right away to Jake's point from earlier, like, I know I had said I preferred the first go at the theme, but this is definitely the better opening because it's more dynamic.
Yeah, they actually have active stuff.
Yeah, you get the idea that, this is a busy-ish, super busy space station.
Things are going to happen here.
There's repairs being done, there's different
on.
ships coming and going, there's 3 runabouts in the opening now.
Yeah, triple your fun. Because
Yeah.
it's otherwise it's literally the same opening sequence.
Yep.
But on top of, or within the shots of the station, there's stuff happening. It makes you feel like a show instead of just a model that they're showcasing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's amazing how much more that adds. I wonder what else they could have done. Like, I wonder if just tooling the camera around ops or around quarks would have been interesting.
Should have opened it like Cheers, where every
Yes!
character got like a random shot, but they're all at like Quark's bar.
Oh my god, the fucking fan revolt they would have
Dude,
had.
I want a Deep Space Nine opening to the theme of Cheers.
Someone has surely done that.
Well, if they fucking haven't, they've failed me.
Go find it. You'll find
Be
it.
the change you want to see in the world.
And that will be my favorite fucking theme.
Moving on?
Yep.
All right, let's watch the Voyager theme. I know Jake loves this song, so here it is.
No, this is probably the best one so far.
Yeah.
Just because it's not just the ship flying past and here's a name. It's like the ship actually kind of tooling around through space.
Seeing the
Goes to a
sights.
little cloud.
The sights are all great.
Some
Impossibly
Aurora
small
Borealis,
planet.
it looked like.
Yep.
Yeah,
There's
it's
this
also,
one-
I think, the first time they could do more stuff with CG.
Yeah.
It holds up, I think.
And it looks
pretty
pretty
well.
good, yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I gotta say, the Voyager CG, for its time, it isn't bad.
Yeah, no.
Especially when you look at some of the shit they were slapping together for Deep Space Nine at the same time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one little detail I love, and that's that when we see that planet with the rings, and as the camera, or whatever they're doing with graphics, pans up, you get this tiny sprinkling effect as you go through the rings. I just love that. That tiny detail is like my favorite thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's a more dynamic take on the, TOS TNG formula.
We've talked about that in Possibly Small Planet before, I think, right?
A little
We've
bit,
mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should try to find that video and actually post it this week where someone tries to extrapolate its actual size based on what we can see.
It's a golf ball. All right, everyone's favorite. We're going to watch the Enterprise opening theme. Now, since seasons 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, the images are all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know which song we want to listen to?
The first one.
All right, here it comes.
So,
This
without
is Chris's favorite.
the song, it's an interesting idea. It's the whole history of exploration building up to the NX-1.
Yeah. Here's my question. Is it Star Trek?
Well, that's a thing I was about to say. On the other
go
hand, it feels like that sort of again, what we talked about early on, they were trying to make a Star Trek series, but not. Like, they were almost embarrassed to be Star Trek. And that feels like this kind of is feeding into that in the same way, where it's like, yeah, we see the HMS Enterprise, and we do eventually see the Phoenix and all that, but it's like, you know...
But that's literally at 5 seconds to the end.
Yeah, it's still this weird kind of rejection of Star Trek while being Star Trek.
I don't know if I get that. So I mean, I do think that it has... I think it's consistent with sort of the vision for the show in that it is...
A prequel?
You know, humanity's first steps into the galaxy.
The one thing I could definitely do without is the superimposed image of a road over space. Like, that's just like my first metaphor fucking book.
Oh,
like,
baby's
take that
first
shot.
Metaphor.
Yeah, take that shot out. That's stupid.
Yeah,
I
some
think
of the shots in there are kind of dumb, but I don't know. I kind of like the montage of the different, you know, the space program and.
It looks like it's for a history show, though. I mean, that's the thing. Like, because also, like, seasons 1 and 2, we don't even have Star Trek in the title card. You don't realize that this is going to be a Star Trek show until the final second when we see a ship.
Yeah, it does.
Otherwise,
it feels like something you're going to watch on the History Channel, like man's greatest inventions or something. You're right. It doesn't feel very Star Trek.
It maybe would feel more Star Trek if they had just used what would be retooled into Archer's theme.
Possibly.
What was originally the opening
or if they
credits.
included the word Star Trek in the title card.
If you go with the in-universe explanation, that is actually the intro you see when you call up the NX-01 holodeck program to relive history.
Jesus Christ, don't ruin it for Caitlin.
That's why I appreciate, you know, whatever you think about the show itself, that at least once a season, Discovery has a very blatant, yes, Enterprise happened reference.
Oh, you haven't watched Lower Decks. Lower Decks loves making Enterprise references.
Well, at least they're doing something right.
But
anyone notice
Lower Decks also makes a lot of TAS references, which I mean, what?
They have a BEM.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, better song would have made it better. I get what they're going for.
It's a little gimmicky, and that's the thing where I'm like, I get it. I don't know. Maybe I need something else to be a sci-fi opening.
We were just in that weird world where everything was trying to do prequels because of episode 1.
Because this is what, 2001? Okay, yeah, that's that time.
Yeah, I mean, literally everything. Jesus Christ, there was a Dukes of Hazzard prequel. There was a Dumb and Dumber prequel. Everyone went fucking prequel stupid for a few years.
How did we get a Dumb and Dumber prequel but not an Ace Ventura prequel? That's the real crime. What?
There was like a little kid Ace Ventura movie.
Oh, I missed that.
Although I think maybe he was supposed to be his nephew, not... So maybe it wasn't. But look into it, there may have been a prequel.
There was also a cartoon, and it was terrible.
Or the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles? Oh, wait, that was...
No, that was the early 90s.
And the young Sherlock Holmes.
Prequels weren't invented by Star Wars.
No, but because of episode 1, everyone and their mother, like... fuck. I mean, you talk about Indiana Jones. Temple of Doom is technically the first movie chronologically.
Speaking of Indiana Jones, let's talk about Nazis, because let's talk about In a Mirror Darkly. Because Enterprise, as I've said in the last two blog activities we've done, does something different for their Mirror Universe episodes in that they have a whole new title card, they have a whole new opening sequence, they have a whole different song they use, which is not the Faith of the Heart song. We're going to watch that one right now. Have some fun.
That looked dumb as fuck.
No, you mean amazing.
No, pretty sure that's not what I mean.
Oh no.
Take that, Klingons.
Oh, that looks awful.
Yikes. I mean, I can totally appreciate that they maybe weren't sending their best and brightest to do the CG for this two episode piece from a show that already people weren't really doing their best on, but Voyager's CG was so much better than that obviously terribly CG'd, like, Terran Empire symbol.
I think they were just really leaning... I mean, I know we haven't watched them, but I think they were just leaning into the fact that these are possibly two of the campiest episodes of Star Trek since the original series.
So your favorite episodes all time.
So what you're saying
They're
is...
up there.
you want me to believe that CG was on purpose and it isn't just shitty CG.
Yeah, column A, column B.
That
When in Rome.
I love the opening, but having just looked at it, on the other hand, it's also super depressing.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, like, in reality, most of our technological leaps for the past several centuries were actually a direct result of war. Like, the original opening is about, like, exploration and the betterment of humanity, but when we actually look at so much of what we have achieved, it actually is because we were looking for better ways to murder each other.
Well, and furthermore, like, a lot of stuff that we use after World War II was taken directly from, like, Nazi scientists. Like,
Yep.
we were like, you know what, we'll give you a pass if you come do that shit for us.
How did we get to the moon?
We flew there, Chris.
Yeah, but who invented the rocket?
I don't know, a Nazi.
Nazis.
Cool.
Bunch of Nazis.
not Van
Extremely
Gelder. What's the
cool.
guy's name, Jake?
Von Braun.
Von Braun.
I was about to say Oppenheimer. What did Oppenheimer do? No,
He
he was
helped
the
invent
atomic
the-
bomb,
He
right?
invented the bomb.
The A-bomb, yeah.
Okay.
He was one of ours, though.
Oh.
He just was German.
Sounds kind of German.
American.
So yeah, this opening sequence, like, I give them so much credit for just going out and doing it. Like, that is
Yeah.
really, really neat that they just went, you know what, we're gonna do the normal Enterprise opening sequence, but evil. But
Yeah.
all evil things that happen and all war stuff. And then the ending is different, because the ending is way different, because, you know,
Yeah.
as we just said, in the Enterprise sequence, you see the Enterprise for all of a frame. In this one, they actually have a bunch of ships flying around attacking. They have some... I don't know if that's a sequence that's in the episode, because I don't know the episode, but
I
they
think
have
it's just
like
a clip
some-
from another episode where they had a firefight.
Okay. But yeah, they have some stuff that is more Star Trek, so already Ace is better, but
And I think, I don't remember, but I don't think there's ever a shot like that one with the, with an NX class being flanked by 2 Delta ships attacking anyone. So that might have to have been completely original, not
Yeah,
just
well, because it was also
adding the yellow.
Yeah, I think it was just. I think it must have been something that was created for that sequence.
Yeah, because we don't really see those Delta ships much outside of the opening sequence, if ever.
I do like that they have almost the same shot of the ship flying over the moon, but in this version, it's
attacking
bombing the
it.
moon.
Yeah.
It was like nice.
I thought
Yeah.
the theme to this is really good, too. I know we talked about themes already, but
Yeah.
it's so much better.
Yeah. But it is also like, it wouldn't work for a normal Star
No,
Trek.
it
'cause
sounds
it's so
evil as
blat-
shit. Yeah, 100%. But I'm just
yeah,
saying
it's like
that...
pirates and Nazis versions of Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
I love those episodes so much.
God, I wonder if I'm going to be able to stand them.
Oh, God,
right,
that is
so-
a 50-50 chance.
Moving on to Discovery. So, as of recording, we just started season 4 of Discovery.
Mhm.
There are already 6 different opening sequences for Discovery because
Holy
My
fuck.
they vary it up. They're all slight differences because also like all in the different montage of stuff that they show. Whatever the thing of that season is, they change up a little bit and show like a couple little sequences of the thing from that season.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize when we talked about title cards last week, there is a different opening title card and sequence for their specific Mirror Universe episode Terra Firma,
Oh, God damn it.
which is literally all it is. I don't even know if I need to bother showing it to you, because if you see on the screen right here,
Yeah.
it is just they take the negative of the video.
Oh,
They
and
take the
flip
negative
it.
colors and they also flip it upside down.
Yeah, I
so
can
it's,
see that
So
they
it's
flipped it.
mirrored in 2 different ways.
Ooh.
Enterprise put in way more effort
But
into
neither of those, interestingly, are the direction that it would be mirrored in a mirror.
True.
If the mirror is under you, though,
I guess. Yeah, I suppose.
and you looked down and then looked up, I don't know. It's a thing they did. They put in at least that much effort. All right, so the question is, how many of these do we want to watch?
Oh, God.
No more than 2.
Let's just watch
one.
one because they're so close.
Yeah,
All
the one thing that I will say before we even do it, the one thing that's weird to me is that in season 2, they added the Enterprise command chair getting assembled.
Yeah.
It's still there in season 4. And they got rid of a bunch of other,
That's true.
the original phaser getting put together went away. Like a lot of the other stuff went away, but for some reason The Enterprise... No, it's not the Discovery Command Chair. It's the Enterprise Command Chair. It's very confusing.
That is confusing. All right, I'm going to pick my least favorite then.
Okay.
Because there's one thing I want to like point at and be like this thing.
Okay.
So we're gonna watch the season 3 version. I'll put all these up on our YouTube or on our Tumblr rather, so you can watch them all if you want. We're gonna watch season 3. Bump bump.
So what specifically annoys you?
Those robots. I hate those fucking robots because they're made out to be like they're going to be an interesting part of the show, and then in the fucking show, I hate them to fucking death.
Well, they're only in it for like 3 seconds.
Like
they're only in it to be a Deus Ex Machina thing,
Yeah.
fix everything in a second, as if they've been there all along, and then go away, and you're like, what?
Cute, though.
I hate them. Oh, they're cute as fuck. They're a great toy to sell to children, but they're
Do they
an
even
awful
sell
thing in the
toys
show.
from the show? I don't know if they even have Discovery toys.
I don't think they do. Like, aside from the... Yeah, they don't really have... I think the only merch they really have are the Eagle Moss models, which
Then
obviously...
why would they even do that? God damn it.
The ship is
Yeah,
nice.
I don't know. Like, it's pretty,
Mhm.
but I still don't like it because it just makes me think of IKEA instructions.
Well, see, I was going to say, in a way, something like this would have made more sense for Enterprise. Because it's all the thing about like blueprints and stuff getting assembled and finalized, and it's like, it feels like something for like, yes, this is our first time really going out. And like, yeah, well, the first 2 seasons were prequels to the rest of Star Trek. It was still after Enterprise. So having this like, we're building things motif felt a little weird.
The building motif makes me think that it's for a documentary because everything looks like, oh, this is the thing that we're going to discuss in this documentary that we're doing. Like this could literally be the intro for The Center Seat, which I think Jake and I mentioned that we're watching on History Channel right now, narrated by Gates. And like it just doesn't feel it only feels like a documentary to me.
Yeah, like the moments when it's not doing that, when it's skimming around, flying past weird plants and creepy eyes and stuff, that's a little closer.
Yeah, I like
what
the
it is
one
with
where we
these-
see the Discovery and you see its shadow below on a planet. That's a nice image.
Like that stuff's cool. I've
yeah,
never...
but overall I don't get it.
But it's
Yeah.
also not very consistent with what the show is. Because, if this ship ever visited a weird planet with flower monsters trying to eat them, that might be interesting. But, I mean, it's mostly a melodrama. So like, it doesn't... I feel like the intro is trying to sell us on a show that Discovery isn't. It's not about discovering crazy weird shit.
It's about the galactic threat of the season, which
It's about the
every
galactic threat of the
season is a
season
big galactic
and how
threat.
Michael Burnham's going to rescue us from it.
Yeah, it would be nice to have like a not galactic threat one season. I'm hoping
like
that
Insurrection.
being non-serialized, I'm hoping that's what we'll get from
Strange New World.
Oh,
yeah.
ditto, hard ditto.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want them both to be doing that. And I actually agree. Like, it's sort of like how with Doctor Who, when it first started, it was like every season they had to double down on like the new galactic threat or the new universal threat. And it was just like, at some point, it's like so fantastical that it's hard to believe it could possibly happen so many times over to the same crew, but also it's just like, the stakes could be smaller.
I mean, at least with Doctor Who, they can fall back on the excuse of he's constantly going through time and space. This, like you said, is the same group of people going through time in order with a jump at one point.
It's like the Force choosing to be involved with all the same people all the time. It's just too much.
Like, Prodigy obviously is going to have sort of a central serialized theme in a way, but like, it's personal to these people. It's not a galactic threat. Yet, who knows, maybe it could become one. I might be speaking too soon. We're only, 5 episodes in right now?
Oh my god, is it that many already?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll say like the other little things we see in the other versions of the opening sequence. Like in season 2, we see the Red Angel costume thing.
Yep.
We see 2 different versions because like there's the first half of the season has it looking one way, then they add another one in the second half of the season for their opening theme.
Yeah, okay.
Opening sequence. What's in season 1? I don't even remember what the deal with season
I
1
think
is.
there's maybe some Klingon shit, maybe.
I don't
Yeah, that would
remember.
make sense.
And I
Season
think
4,
maybe
there's a
the-
planet blowing up.
Yeah. I think with season 1, maybe 2, instead of the Enterprise chair, is the Shenzhou chair.
I don't
Or
remember.
something.
I'll put them all up somewhere. If you want to watch them all, go for it. I know Chris loves the song. Listen to the song 8 times.
I own the song. I'll just do that.
All right, let's move on. Let's watch the Lower Decks opening sequence, because I've got it here.
Did that come before Picard?
Oh fuck! What order do you want to watch them in?
Existence.
What order did they go in? I thought Lower Decks came first, but I think last week I did them backwards.
Genuinely don't remember. Let's go with Lower Decks since you already said it.
All right. There's also 2 different versions of the Lower Decks opening sequence. Let's watch season 2. Season 2 has literally they swap in a couple more ships in one scene.
Okay.
But let's watch that one because I think it's a little more interesting. Yeah, I give Lower Decks this. Its opening sequence is very cute.
And funny, I like that they're like, oh, they see the Borg cube and all the fighting. They're like, you know what? Let's not.
We're good. We're not equipped for
They
this.
fly away.
It's like
Pass. Hard
it's-
pass.
It's a hard call. I don't know. On the one hand, it's like does every scene need to have a punchline?
I mean, there's 4 or 5 scenes, and then the final scene that's just the ship.
Yeah.
So yes, it does because
I do
it's
kind
a
of
comedy
like
show.
the I will say the one I think I like the most. Well, no, the funniest one is definitely "fuck this noise," but I do enjoy that the space slug sucking on the nacelle actually kind of looks out at the audience. Oh, hi.
Yeah, my favorite is when it's just flying over some ice rocks. It scrapes an ice rock, and then it starts going a little sideways. And the moment all the lights go out on the ship, you're like, "Oh, whoops!" That one's very funny to me.
Mm.
Again,
What are
the
your thoughts on
theme-
this one, Jake?
I don't mind it. I think it's true to what the show is, and that it's goofy.
It doesn't make a lot of references, which is great.
That's true.
That's true. Again, though, the theme, it sounds more like a parody of Star Trek.
It
No,
is a
it's-
parody of Star Trek.
Well, I feel like it could have been the theme to Galaxy Quest.
It is the theme to Galaxy Quest. I'm just kidding.
Although I will say, obviously, better than the fucking Love Boat theme that TAS had. Considering how much they like referencing it, I'm a little surprised they didn't do an updated version of that instead of writing a new one.
I mean,
Oh,
what would
Christ.
it have been?
Just better orchestration, maybe a little less 70s.
Mm.
So basically nothing like it.
Well, no, just saying,
Who wants to watch the Picard opening sequence?
Ooh, me.
Here it comes.
Yeah, so while it was playing, and that was probably cut by now, we're gonna like eyes, because we're gonna see one in the Prodigy opening, too.
Mm.
So only...
Wasn't there one in Discovery? Am I nuts?
Yeah, there was one in Discovery.
Yeah,
Well,
they
you
love
know-
eyes
here.
now.
You know
Yeah.
why there's an I in Prodigy? Because they're learning that there's no I in Team.
But there is an eye in Prodigy.
That's okay.
I
What? Don't give me
noticed-
that face.
noticed on this watch of the opening sequence, which I hadn't noticed before because I haven't been watching that closely, is the little fleck piece that we start at the beginning is the same little fleck piece that we follow throughout because it's got the same little arrow shape. And it's the one that ends up in Picard's cheek. So it's a nice little moment of continuity of watching this little fleck and what its journey is going to be as it gets to where it needs to go.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
def-
cute.
I would say this maybe is a better example of it's trying to sell you a show that maybe it is, kind of, to sort
little
of take what Jake said.
Yeah, it's very specific to season 1 of Picard. I'm certain when it comes out in a little while, couple months, I think. When season 2 comes out, I'm certain it'll be a whole different opening
Yeah,
sequence.
probably. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
this was very specific imagery to season 1.
It's also the first time in series history where a character appears in the opening sequence.
I mean, if you don't count those characters in the mirror episode of Enterprise.
Yeah, I don't
Good
know
point.
if it would.
It's first
I
time
think-
in a non-special opening in
I
a
mean, it's also
regular.
the first Star Trek series to be named after a character. So
That is definitely
Will there
true.
be more? Probably. Star Trek
can't wait
Garrick.
for Star Trek Barkley.
Oh, God.
Star Trek Who I shifted.
Barkley.
Star Trek Okona.
No.
Star Wars Okona.
There it is. That's much better.
That's just called Solo.
A Kona, a Star Trek story.
Basically. What are other people's thoughts on the Picard sequence?
I thought it was good.
Yeah, I think, it's got a lot of imagery from the show, and once you watch the season, you can kind of look back at that and be like, oh, okay.
I get it now.
Yeah, that's what that meant.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And again, like I said last time, I'm a sucker for the music, so.
Yeah, it is a really lovely theme.
Yeah, and even when you don't know what the different bits are until you're like, oh, I get it. The two little cells are Soji and Daj.
Yeah.
Even without knowing that, it's not like distracting you like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you'll either get it later or you'll keep enjoying it because it's a cute little image. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put on Prodigy, and then we can talk about it. Was that a Tellarite hand? What was that?
Yeah, I think it was the Tellarite's mechanical arm.
There's
He
Gwen,
has a mechanical arm? How did I, never notice that?
Grievous,
Darth Vader.
General Grievous.
Janeway. Did I miss Doll? What is Doll's image?
Who's Dahl again?
The lead
The
guy.
purple kid.
Oh, yeah, I didn't notice
Yeah,
that.
I don't know if they've shown him, or if
He
they
comes
did,
at
I missed
the
it.
end, doesn't he? Or am I making that up?
I think you're making it up.
Oh.
No, there he is. He's at the purple thing on the right. Did they show Rock either? I don't know if they show
No,
Rock.
I think that there are in the Prodigy sequence, like there are things that represent each character. Some way more literally than others.
Yeah, like I said, we saw Zero outright.
Yeah.
We saw annoying Tellarite's mechanical hand.
Jankum? Is that his name?
What?
Jankum?
Yeah, there we go.
Jacqueline? Janklum?
We do see, like, what's her name in profile? The
Gwen?
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, we see Janeway.
Yep. We see Vader, Grievous.
Yeah.
I don't know that character's name. That is all
Neither
he
do
is.
I. Big robot.
I don't know either. Father's name is something.
The Diviner or something?
Yeah, the Great
The
Diviner, or
Diviner.
Big Johnny Diviner, Fred Diviner.
Yeah, Big Giant Diviner. I think that's right, yeah.
Diviner, I hardly know her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a nice little touch to do, like, there's a little representative thing of each character. I bet if we, like, looked through and been like, okay, I bet those rocks are
Yeah,
Rock Talk.
Art Rock, yeah.
Or, like, and I don't know what Doll is. I'd have to look at, like, each bit specifically, but I'm sure he's the first one, whatever it was.
Yeah. Maybe that's his eye. And of course, then all the faces of the hero cast are in the title.
Yep.
So, but yeah, a very good opening. I'm very fond of it.
Pretty.
I like
It's
it.
pretty
I think
as
I think
fuck.
it's very pretty.
It's a nice, it's sort of a nice fusion of how they did sort of the newer title sequences, like the Discovery and Picard style, with earlier shows. Like, it's most specifically, I think, like Voyager and the modern title sequences kind of got together. Because you see the ship going through space, but then it's also occasionally going past weird, just abstract shit. And it's like kind of the perfect union of both concepts.
Yeah, it's definitely not just a random array of crap, and it's definitely not just ships flying by. The ship looks really good in
It does. Looks
in the
great.
sequence. The protostar is very pretty, and I love when it's like flying through like some gassy stuff.
Yep. I am fascinated with the fact that the deflector is not a dish, but just kind of a strip. I like that. It's something new. But yeah, no, very good opening.
Yeah, I like that one. And we're going to talk about which ones of these openings are our favorites and our least favorites, and that one's definitely a contender for favorite for me.
Yeah, it's very good.
But does anyone else have thoughts on your favorites and your least favorites? I've got them all in front of us right now as their thumbnails. A lot of them are very similar.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with least favorite TAS because it's pretty much just TOS, but it's shitty.
Yeah.
It's a
It's low
shittier
effort.
version of TOS.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
low effort.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, if TAS didn't exist, it would probably be TOS, because it's really, like,
Blah.
nothing.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that TAS is TOS, but worse when it has no excuse to be,
Right.
that makes it the worst of the lot.
So TAS is your worst too, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I would go along with that too.
Like, and again, like, TOS and TNG really isn't anything, you know?
Yeah, TNG has the added of having some planets at the top, but then we don't see planets again.
Yeah, like, all
It's
three, you're
just
just
the
kind
ship?
of like, eh?
Yeah. Well, TNG, you can clearly see they were just doing
TOS again.
But they improved upon TOS, whereas TAS did it again, but did not improve on it.
Yeah.
And just added shittier animation.
And worse music.
I
don't know. I have to also call out DS9 seasons 1 through 3 as being just
boring.
a lot of nothing. Just a lot of let's just look at this one model and every single angle you can think of.
No, that's fair.
Like, I think that one's definitely got to be down there. I'm trying to like pick one, just which one is my least favorite. And right now, that one I want to like speak to because like there's exactly nothing happens. I think they realize nothing happens by season 4, and that's why season 4 is different.
I really what we're coming to is that DS9 season 4 was actually the first big turning point for Star Trek title sequences.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that.
Because then they really kind of get their act together with Voyager.
Yeah, Voyager looks great. Enterprise had an idea and they did it.
Yeah, they ran with it, and they can't deny shit's happening.
Yeah, and then all the more modern stuff, all the new Trek, they just do tons and tons of let's show all the graphics that we fucking can.
Yeah.
Which is a solid departure from TOS, which was let's not show any graphics, let's show this one thing we've got.
Yeah, which again, I get it. It's 1966 and you're broke.
Yep. I didn't bother showing you guys The Cage because I couldn't find a good copy of it, but The Cage is very similar. Worse title card. Like probably just the least effort title card you've ever seen in your life.
Did they not have the font yet?
Nope.
Oh.
Very generic Arial looking font.
Ugh.
At least it wasn't Comic Sans.
Just to be different, because that's what I do, I'm going to say least favorite DS9 seasons 1 through 3.
Fair.
Or maybe just I'd say the Emissary one, but I don't even think that it's worth stating the difference between the two. But yeah.
Yeah, no.
Favorite's tough because I do like a couple of these.
Yeah.
I think Voyager is definitely in consideration.
Yeah, Voyager put effort in, especially for, 1994-ish.
And the graphics hold up really nicely.
They do. That's true.
I don't think I can say it's my favorite, but, again, honorable mention to the effort put into the Mirror Universe Enterprise ones.
Yeah.
Just a bit of fun.
Yeah, they did some work there.
Yeah, they did some little extra work, and who knows, maybe part of the reason it looks shit is because it was a last minute idea. So I was like, hey guys, what if we did like a whole new sequence? Even if, again, it is also slightly depressing because you realize that's way closer to reality than the nicer opening.
Yeah, and I gotta say, the Prodigy opening sequence is fucking beautiful. The Lower Decks one, like, I gotta give a lot of credit to because it's probably the best thing about that show. And granted, I shit on that show a lot, but, there's some good stuff to that show. But the opening sequence, like, tells you straight up, this is going to be a comedy. It doesn't warn you about all the fucking references.
No. Although it is very, it does open very much in the TNG mold. And ends in it. But yeah,
just watch the ship fly away.
Yeah. I think, I think I gotta go with Prodigy as my favorite.
Wow.
Because,
I don't blame you.
Discovery and Picard, I love the music, but, like, again, the Discovery openings are just kind of weird.
And there's so many of them.
Yeah. Picard's pretty solid. I mean, it's up there, I would say. But again, it's sort of like I said, Prodigy being this sort of perfect mix of the new and old era title sequences all just kind of works out nicely.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think I'm going to say Prodigy is my favorite as well. Because it's very dynamic, it's very pretty, it speaks to the show. I think I said in one of our blog posts or somewhere that Prodigy transcends kids' show and is Star Trek.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because of like a lot of the detail and the work that they put in.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still, jury's still out for me with Prodigy if it's Star Trek or Star Wars in Star Trek clothing.
It's Star Wars dressed up as Star Trek. That's great. I like it.
I think it starts off that way, but I think it's shedding Star Wars clothing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the last
proceeds.
Few episodes. So again, I'm gonna watch the rest of the season and we'll see where it comes down. But I mean, it's not bad. It's fun to watch either way. For me, I think the best. I have to give it to Voyager with probably Prodigy as a close second, but I'm gonna go with Voyager for my top.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm really torn between Prodigy and Voyager, honestly. Like, I do think Prodigy is probably better, but I don't know if that means I like it better. You know what I mean?
No, that's a good point.
I really do like the Voyager one quite a bit.
Sounds like you've decided.
Yeah, I guess I like Voyager best.
Wait.
So, before we wrap, I had one last thought. Does anyone have thoughts on how they would like Strange New Worlds to open?
Just like TOS. No, that's terrible.
A picture of Anson Mount's face while the theme plays.
Here's what I want. I want it to not be a gimmick. I want it to be straightforward. Good fucking luck with that, Star Trek.
Oh, that's right. Like, so do we do we want them to eschew sort of the Discovery/Picard style and try to do something a little more traditional without going full TOS? Or maybe do we want them to do something a little more Prodigy, which is kind of a meld of how the newer and the older have done it? And then the question is, do they get a new theme or just a bigger orchestra-style TOS one?
They're good. I'm almost certain they're gonna do a new theme because that's what you do for a show.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it has
touches.
Nods to the original.
Oh,
I mean, I guess they all kind of have nods to the original.
And Discovery, both of them.
Yeah, but I would hope that they don't do like the abstract, Discovery or Picard style. I just don't know that it's for the type of show that I think or that they have sold us that it's going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know that those intros are appropriate for that.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'd like to see something more along the lines of, maybe something like the Voyager or the Prodigy intro where you have, some hero shots of the ship and it's going cool places.
Like, go for like, hey, what if TOS had money? And more advanced special effects.
I also really wonder if that show is going to be an ensemble show or if it's going to be the Pike, Spock, and number one show, and then the rest. That
remains to be seen.
Well, the casting of all the other characters has to be very excited because they've got an Uhura, they've got a Chapel, they've got an Mbenga, which is cool.
Yeah, that's great.
An Uhura? Oh yeah, they did have an Uhura.
Yeah. So I'm really hoping that I'm hoping they try to make it an ensemble show.
Yeah, because I mean that's the thing is for all that we make fun of the fact that like Discovery, we don't really know the bridge crew. If you rewatch TOS, it is mostly the Kirk, Spock, and McCoy show in a lot of ways.
No, 100%. Yeah, Scotty shows up sometimes.
Occasionally, yeah. Every so often, like, Chekhov gets to have a girlfriend, and Sulu gets to do something, and Uhura's there.
I know, she gets so swept under the rug, that show.
I'm hoping, it is, if they're doing their job right, new Uhura will have more to do in one season of Strange New Worlds than poor Nichelle Nichols did between 3 series and 6 movies.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I think a nice sort of maybe, again, a Prodigy-style hybrid approach would be nice, or a Voyager-style approach.
Yeah, I want to see, I want it to feel like adventure, not like I'm watching like some kind of documentary or some kind of you have to find the meaning in every single part of the sequence. I want it to feel like we're exploring because that's what the show is supposed to be about.
Yeah. Having said that, if they want to do the TOS theme but with the lyrics, I will also accept that.
The lyrics, Jesus Christ.
By Jack Black. Jack Black has to sing it.
That works.
But it has to be played over a shirtless Anson Mount playing a lyre.
Spock's the one that plays the lyre.
Not now, it isn't. This is a Strange New World, bitch.
The lyre. Yeah, we'll see what happens when that series comes out. We'll see what happens when the next season of Picard comes out.
Yep.
I don't know if we'll speak to them, but we'll see what we do when those come out. Next week, we've got other stuff coming out, though.
Woo! We do. I don't know what.
Thank you so much for listening to all of our driveling on about opening sequences. We like the Voyager one, which is appropriate because we're watching Voyager right now, and we're going to watch more next week. Next week, we're covering the final 2 episodes of Season 1, so guess what else we're doing next week?
Oh, shit.
Top and bottoms. Holy
Real
fuck.
short season. Super short. There's not a lot to choose from, so...
Too short a season.
That's a terrible episode. Next week, episodes are Jetro? and
Tull?
Learning Curve. So listen to those next week. We'll have that out for you on SoundCloud, on
Clown.
Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all the places you can go and get podcasts. You can find us there. You can check out this blogtivity that we were just talking about and watch all the opening themes you fucking want on our Tumblr, sshbpodcast at tumblr.com, like the thing. You can also find all of that stuff at sshbpodcast.com. You can find all this stuff. We'll put it all up on the Facebook. We'll put it all up on the Twitter. I'm already not doing anything with our MySpace, because why?
It's very
Chris.
undynamic. I'm very disappointed. I was
Yeah,
looking
it's
forward to like really diving into that, but
I'm
it has
sorry.
no functionality.
Yeah, but keep hanging out with us. We're going to keep doing this. As usual, my name has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
This has been Jake.
And this is always Chris.
I hope we get to see more of Durst.
Love
Oh,
I hope we
no.
don't, because it would be on Scabman.